So I have no good segue for this, so I'm just gonna say Windows 11 is happening.
I saw an ad for it today on TikTok.
Oh my
I haven't seen
god.
the ad, but I saw some of the complaints about it. How it's only
Right?
going to be supported on Gen 8 processors and up.
Yeah, they're adding a limitation to it, which I'm not a fan of. But
So, like, Puzzled's computer
Rude.
that she built, like her original computer, would not work on it. That sucks.
yeah, yeah, and Microsoft has been known to gatekeep like that before, and I fucking hate it when they do it. Like, don't gatekeep. It doesn't help your brand, it doesn't help your product. But the other thing that also pisses me off was that they said Windows 10 was going to be their last operating system, and they would begin to work like Apple, where they would just push out updates. And I mean, they held their end of the bargain on that. Like, we've received so many updates for it, but I was very surprised when I found out about Windows 11.
What are they
How they
going to
said,
change, really? Sorry.
So the biggest changes are going to be user interface based. They're making it sleeker, they're making it nicer, a much more better user experience. And the way it looks, I shit you not, it looks just like an Apple product without the bar at the top. And they changed the entire taskbar. Instead of going across the bottom, it's going to be dead center.
hmm,
But everything is just revamped.
it looks a lot nicer. Like the
Mm-hmm.
little, I guess your desktop space does look a little bit different. It looks a lot more like your phone where you have like apps in different folders almost.
Yeah.
Um, it looks nice, but that kind of sucks that they gatekeep from older models to
Yeah,
still
like
turn a profit.
Apple has been known to do it too, so it's not surprising that they would want to try to do this. But Apple's been sued in court over it. So I'm a little worried that Microsoft trying to gatekeep is going to come across as it's not going to be as visible as everything else that's going on with all the lawsuits for Apple, for Google, for Amazon. I mean, hell, there's a whole bunch of lawsuits being thrown around as it is. But I'm excited to see what changes they've made. They've already made the beta public, so if you want to download a snapshot of the newest version that they've made available to the public to test, you can download it and install it on an old computer or something equivalent to actually play with. Which I'm gonna do. I'm gonna launch a virtual machine to see exactly what they changed. Hopefully, it doesn't break in that sense.
When is it supposed to like roll out for, I guess, a recommended stuff?
For everyday users,
Hmm.
I actually don't know. Let me do a quick Google search. Um, it's nothing yet. So far, they just have an open beta. So anyone can
Okay.
download the test, but they don't have a release date for the final product.
Well, and I've only heard about issues with Intel. What about AMD? Like, do we have anything to worry about?
It could be an issue with AMD as well, depending on exactly how they classify their generations. Because I mean, AMD is very, very backwards compatible. Like the current socket, you can go back 3 chipsets, three
What's
different
AMD?
versions of chips. Yeah,
What's AMD?
AMD, it is a Intel's competitor. It stands for American Microprocessing. Uh, Forgot what the D stood for. It's their competitor.
Nice.
It's I'll tell you right now.
I I thought of these nuts.
American Microprocessing these nuts. uh,
I don't want to know now. Just
Advanced Micro
kidding.
Devices Inc. There you go. I don't know why it always slips my mind. It just does. But they're pretty much Intel's next competitor. Like Snapdragon and all the other ones, they work on microprocessing for laptops, not for laptops, for mobile devices like tablets and phones. Where Intel doesn't really have a foot in the market, but AMD is their biggest competitor, and they've been catching up like it's nobody's fucking business. As it is, AMD's processors are faster and they're cheaper.
Take that, Intel.
Mm-hmm. So, and the other problem is we don't really know what generation for AMD it'll be that will work with it, only because AMD and Intel do have their generations kind of lined up differently.
That's so frustrating. Like, I
Mhm.
get it because you're trying to set your own industry standard, but you know,
Yeah. But what do
I'm
you
not a
guys
tech
think?
wizard. I'm not a tech wizard, so I don't know.
I mean, I am. So what do you guys think?
I'm just trying to figure out because y'all are right. It does change the way the interface looks.
hmm
But aside from that, like, couldn't that just be an update?
No, it'd be a complete. It would be a complete revamp. To just call it an update would, um, well, for one, it wouldn't look good on their endpoint because Microsoft's about charging people for software, right? And
Right.
I don't think people would take well to an update of this caliber because they'd have to reinstall everything, especially some like design packets. So like the way the UI works, they've re-engineered certain things to just so they wouldn't be able to just push it through an update. You'd have to actually install it onto the hard drive.
Okay.
Yeah.
From like even a small, like little small updates, like the behind the scenes ones, and then over like
It's
6 months, it finally updates to the new interface. I don't know. I don't know anything about
no.
it.
I'm totally for that. You know, if they do it that route, it would be easier. But if they re-engineered certain things to work different ways, they'd have to rewrite very important operating system files, which if they're being updated while it's running, or even just processing updates, could break it. And that's been proven in the past. I mean, it happened with Windows Millennium Edition, and that was released in 2000, and then they were forced to release a completely different OS in a year. Like they
Yeah,
were
I had a
sued over
computer
that.
with Windows Me.
Do you remember how your drivers would immediately disappear after an update?
Yeah.
It's because it was trying to install updated drivers for those drivers, but when it uninstalled, it would think that it was okay because it was no longer there, and it would stop. That make sense?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that I guess they're avoiding that possibility of something like that reoccurring because they have been sued
But I
and they've
mean,
lost thousands of
on the
dollars
other
like that.
end, on the other end, it should make it a lot easier for programmers if they're moving towards more a homogeneous operating system.
Yeah, it would, but they can't straight up copy the way Apple's operating system is built, as it's that's trademarked. Like
Oh yeah, but
if they switch to a more Linux based operating system, which is a free version of an operating system, it's one of the biggest third options that you can get. Then it would be a lot easier for them because then they'd open up possibilities for applications that they have in their environment to work on other environments.
Hmm.
But I mean,
Well,
if I were given the option between Windows 10 and Windows 11, I'd take Windows 11 to learn. I mean, it's my job, you know.
yeah. I think I mean, I haven't been using Windows 10 very long, probably
hmm
just like 3 years
hmm
on my end. So I don't think it would be a hard transition over.
Mm-mm.
No, yeah, it wouldn't. You'd have to relearn where certain things are. Like, you guys remember Control Panel, right? Like introduced in
Yeah.
Windows Vista or Windows XP.
I still try to use it.
yeah, I still try to go there. Yeah, same.
Yeah, no, that's the only place where I can find certain settings because it's laid out there. You get from point A to point B like in an instant. Well, that's one thing I'm afraid of in Windows 11 because there were talks uh that there were talks by Microsoft developers that they were getting rid of Control Panel in the next operating system or an update for Windows 10.
Is it
Well,
dumb
you
to
know who else is
remove
getting rid
that?
of shit?
Ooh.